better, happier, more productive, comfortable.
I ain't happy, I'm feeling glad I got sunshine in a bag.
Hello. Hello again to all my friends. Hello again to all my friends.
You can't do that until...
You are now tuned in to Be the Message. Don't just talk about it, be about it. On 1630 AM, Chaffey College Radio. You can also check us out on chaffey.edu/broadcast and click on the link, Be the Message with Lou the Messenger. Those of you who missed out on our last two shows on Be the Message, we discussed commonly asked questions regarding Christian, Muslim, and atheist beliefs. This week, we'll be talking about the 3 Ds: discrimination, division, and depression. But first, here's weather and traffic. You are now tuned in to Be the Message. Don't just talk about it, be about it. On 1630 AM, Chaffey College Radio. You can also check us out on chaffey.edu/broadcast and click on the link, Be the Message with Lou the Messenger.
What's up, everybody? We're back here at 1630 AM, Chaffey College Radio. I'm your host, Lou the Messenger, and you're listening to Be the Message. If you missed last week's show, we discussed, it was a 2-part series where we discussed religion and faith and commonly asked questions about those 2 topics. This week, we're going into a series called the 3D series, and we'll be talking about discrimination, division, and depression. This week, we're going to be covering discrimination. And there's a lot going on in the news today, you know, as far as the bombings in Paris. There's just a lot going on, and we're just going to talk today about how that may or may not tie into our topic of discrimination. If it does, how so? And we're going to be getting different opinions from our 2 guests who are regulars now. Yeah, we got, right, that's right. We got... Right. So we got Christian, and he was here on our first show, or actually our second show. Right.
I'm not invited to the first, which I'm
Right.
I'm a regular now.
Yeah, dude, but you're a regular now. So the guy who was here at the first time, he's not a regular. You are. So. Yeah. And as always, we got the lovely Ayla.
I've always been here.
Yeah, she's an OG. She's been. Yeah. That's good. That's cool. So yeah, guys, you know, as you know, this week we're talking about discrimination, and you know, often when you hear about discrimination, the first thing, at least what comes to my mind, is like racial discrimination. But there's so many different types of discrimination. There's gender discrimination. There's ethnic discrimination. There's social discrimination. So it's a very broad topic. So we first of all, I want to get your guys' view on that word discrimination. When you think of that word discrimination, what, I'll start with you, Christian. What comes to your mind when you think of that word discrimination? Okay, I'm sorry. Can you reiterate that? We had a slight technical difficulty.
Okay, yeah.
Go ahead and reiterate.
Yeah, I was just saying how,
When
what
I
comes
thi-
to your mind
when
you
I
think
when
of
I
the word
hear
Sorry
discrimination,
about that.
I think it could be it's usually just some sort of hatred or animosity or disliking against a certain group, usually for a petty reason. Like you said, there's a lot of different ones. There's, based on race, religion. I noticed one that not too many people talk about, but it's definitely around, is classism. Someone thinking they're above someone else, even if it's when their own race. I notice a lot of people saying, "Oh, I made it to the top, so those people who started with me at the bottom are irrelevant to me now."
Right.
So that's what generally comes to my mind.
Yeah, that's what I was describing as like social discrimination, when you feel like you've gotten to a certain social class, and you feel like you've reached a certain financial status or whatever the case may be. You may feel that, hey, I'm better than this group of people or whatever. That's what we touched on as far as like social discrimination. So yeah, that's a good answer, man.
Thanks.
So what about you, Ayla? When you think of the word discrimination, what pops in your head? What goes on?
Well, the word discrimination kind of just, I think of segregation, I think of isolation, I think it's just being not accepted as the person that you are because of certain beliefs or because of the certain way you dress or your culture or the way you're raised or the way you speak. It's just you being isolated from the group because of something about you that maybe is different or maybe isn't part of the norm. So that's
Keep going.
that's what discrimination is to me.
Okay. So yeah, that's basically, and that's pretty clean cut. When we think of discrimination, it's basically a division, and it ties into our second topic. Give me 1 second. I'm sorry. Give us a second. We're on. Okay. Yeah. So basically, it ties into our second topic, which is we're going to talk about next week. I apologize. We were having some technical difficulties, but we're back. It ties into our next subject, which we're going to be talking about next week, which is division. It's similar, but we could talk a lot about on division. But yeah, basically it's discrimination is a separating of different, ideologies, beliefs, classes, and it's looking down upon, or, there's a lot of discrimination. And I think that ties into a lot. We hear a lot about what's happening with the jihadist Islamic State and, what's going on with the people that claim to be associated with them and ISIS. And do you feel that their actions are something that validates that there's discrimination involved in there? Is it more of like a desperate act? Is it something discriminative, or how would you describe their actions? Would discrimination, in your opinion, have any place to play in that?
Yes, I could say that it is kind of discrimination, just because it is an attack because of something that they believe in, or because it's something that they're not a part of even. So honestly, you want to say that it's ISIS, whoever kind of group that they are, they want to be heard, they want to be listened to, and they feel like the more commotion that they cause, like the more, that's why they choose populated areas or more common areas or more like people know about it, famous areas, and they choose to do it there because they feel like their voice is loudest when it's heard in the public, and it's a more public thing,
Right.
So, is it discrimination? Yes, I would say so, just because it's another difference that they, like, it's a difference in belief, and they feel like this is the best way to solve it. We don't agree with it. I don't agree with it. I mean, it's pretty harsh like I always say, can't we just all be friends? Can we just sit down and talk about it?
Yeah, can we all just get along?
Yeah. But there is discrimination in that, and I feel like it's a little bit almost like ignorance, if you want to say, just because it's like it's a new age, it's a new modern day. You don't have to fall back and do so like extreme things to make your voice heard. If only you can just kind of sit down and be open-minded. If you're accepting of other people's views and points of views, then maybe your view will even be heard louder. You'll make your voice will be even louder. You don't have to make so much commotion and have so much collateral damage and the effect of everything else that because of this certain thing that you did. I don't know if that's really making sense, but because of something, the effect that it made, the influence of the way that the idea is portrayed about this certain group is actually, it's negative. It's not positive. So the kind of difference that they feel like that they're making with it isn't helping them at all.
Right. The way I feel discrimination does play a part, and here's how I feel that it plays a part. I feel just like there's a saying that people that have been hurt people, right? People that are hurt people, they hurt others, right? Same thing with people. I feel that a lot of these people, maybe not all of them, but a big majority of them are people that have felt discriminated against. So they want to join, they're more likely to join a movement where they feel a part of, and then in turn that turns into outside discrimination.
Yes,
you know what I'm saying?
Exactly. Yeah.
So they feel like, oh, I'm part of this movement. I'm a, jihadist or whatever. Now that discrimination turns into just total hate. You know what I mean? And it boils down to people that have been, same thing, people that have been hurt in whatever way or been traumatized, and they're like, hey, I'm going to go to this extreme and I'm going to hate. And there's other factors too. There's people that just like to hurt other people, and that's one of the reasons, and they mask it with, we're going to join in at, join this religion for that, but it's really that they want to hurt other people. But you hear what I'm saying? That,
yeah. I just want to put in that jihadists within itself, it's I wouldn't call them jihadists because almost everybody is a jihadi.
Right,
Jihad
you know more about. I just thought the jihadists were the extreme ones. You may know more.
Yeah,
about that
so
than I do.
Everybody goes through jihad. Jihad is when you strive for something in the name of God. So like me wearing my hijab, my head covering, that's jihad because it is difficult sometimes for me to be different. Okay. And so to wear my head covering, I'm going through things that sometimes even people that aren't wearing it might not have been going through. So I'm going through jihad. That means I'm sacrificing something to God, which is like my modesty. Like I'm covering. I get curious looks. I get questions. I get this. I get that. I'm different, and people notice that, and that within itself is jihad. So the term jihadists wouldn't be really I wouldn't use that. You can say extremists.
Yeah, I was just unclear. I thought that was the extreme Islamic State, but like I said, I mean, you broke it down to what that means, but I just mean the extreme Islamic belief, the people that are you know who I'm talking about.
Yeah,
but,
the extremists.
The extremists, yeah. So let me ask Christian. I want to ask you, Christian, following the same topic, discrimination. Have you ever yourself, if you remember, have been discriminative towards somebody? Have you ever discriminated against anybody? And if so, explain it.
About to get real right here.
Yeah, maybe I shouldn't.
Off the top,
I know there was a better way to phrase
it. It's
that.
cool, man.
I'm sorry.
No,
I just threw it out there. I'll tell you. I mean, I'm gonna expound on this too, but go ahead.
Yeah. Off the top of my head, I can't think of any time I've genuinely just discriminated against somebody based on something so petty, like based on the typical things, religion, race, ethnicity, whatever, right. So I can honestly say I haven't, just because that's something that's never really made too much sense to me. I'm not saying I'm some awesome person. I don't judge anybody. I mean,
you're awesome, but still. It's okay.
You're awesome sauce, dude.
Thank you. Well, yeah, off the top of my head, not that I can think of to where, like I said, that's something that just never really clicked for me. Like, I guess some people it clicks to being mean to people based on, again, petty reasons. But for me, I just, like I said, off the top of my head, can't really think of a time that I have. I mean, I've definitely, in good humor, amongst friends, have made jokes based on somebody's race or based on somebody's religion.
Because I'm black, huh?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, if you want to take that as a form of discrimination, but like I said, it's in good. If it's in good humor amongst friends,
right?
I mean, that's people are always. There's always going to be people that are like, no, you can never say anything about anything. And
it's not reasonable.
And there's people like that,
Yeah, we're talking about discrimination.
Yeah, but
discrimination is
with genuine hate in my heart, no, I haven't.
Yeah, discrimination is more, we're talking about a divisive, hey, I look down on these people because they're of a different social class, they're of a different race, different religion. Oh, wait a second, I'll get to you in a sec. But, that's what we're looking at. That's more of you're joking around with a friend, or even if you're making fun of somebody, which isn't nice, but it's different, you know what I mean?
Yeah, but I can, I guess, add that, some people have gotten offended, so, That's about as close as I can get. I'm just trying to give you an example of the closest I've ever gotten.
You've got
I kind of put my baby toe on the line, and then once I realized that's where I need to stop, I was just like, okay, no more.
Right,
I can't go that far.
Right, gotcha. So, Ayla.
Yes.
You could continue. I'm sorry. You could continue what you were saying. I was going to ask you the same.
Oh, Ayla's the biggest discriminist I know.
That is not
I'm just
true.
kidding.
That's not
I'm just
fair.
kidding.
Yeah, no, I'm just kidding. Ayla's nice. She's a nice girl.
Thanks. I was just gonna say, like, I agree with you, and you were also saying about just people being mean about it. It's not. I really do feel like sometimes it's all psychological, like just like how you were saying.
Right.
Sometimes that's the only way that they can express their type of humor, or that's the only way they can express themselves. Period. Like if they've only known, like if people discriminate against them, then they feel like they have to exude that, out as well. So sometimes it's just
That's a factor. I mean, it's not always.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not always about that, but I mean, like we always say, give them 76 excuses before you can actually say he's discriminating.
Right,
You
right.
can say maybe he doesn't know better. Maybe this
Yeah,
is
that's
just
like-
his type of humor. Maybe.
Yeah, exactly. That's like with me. Like I always tell people, if I make fun of you, dude, that means you're in. That means I like you. And that's weird because it's funny. Like everybody that I know really well, that hey, if you're in my little circle, you get it, man. I'm always
that's
everybody
true.
say, hey, Lou, why you man? You know how to imitate. I'm like, dude. If I'm not doing it out of a mean spirit, but over the years I've noticed that there's also some people that I can't, before I was just like all out, you know what I mean? And now it's like I'm more sensitive to like, hey, I can't, I can't
don't mean
joke
to
with this.
offend
I
you,
don't,
yeah.
and I really don't. And a lot of times it's just misunderstanding, which that's another topic because I think that's a big issue that we really don't, we hear the word, but we really don't talk about it too much, being a misunderstanding and being misunderstood, but that's another show. But yeah, I mean, that's how, I let people know, hey, I like you. If I make fun of you, dude, that
I'll make
means
fun
you're
of you.
If I'm a
Pull
jerk
you
and
around.
I'm a jerk to you, that means I like you. You're in the good.
But like I said, I know that sometimes you got to be sensitive to certain people. They don't play that way, and you're like, okay, well, I'm sorry, man. I didn't mean to offend you. I'm sorry.
There has to be a certain level of comfort before you start doing that. Because I know people I just
Right,
barely
right.
met. I'm not a sensitive person, really.
Yeah.
I try to wear thick skin,
Yeah.
So there's some people like I just met day one and they're already clowning on me. And
Right,
I mean,
right.
like I said, I usually brush it off, but sometimes I'm like,
Like,
who
who
the
are
heck
you,
are
dude?
you?
I
I
don't
don't
know
know
you.
you.
Yeah.
It's like, wait till like tomorrow or something. Give me a week.
You're acting like you know me, like Ayla. You don't
Walk
gotta
up
like
in
Ayla.
here.
Yep, I hear you, dude. Yeah, so that's my way, like I said. So another question about discrimination, and I'm sure that I'll ask Ayla this question. Have you ever, I think we've talked about this before, but we'll get into it again. Have you ever felt like or name a time in your life where you've ever felt discriminated against, and
Okay.
let's talk about that scenario.
Okay. To be completely frank with you, I feel like I would never say someone like actually discriminated against me because again, I always try to think the best of people, So, but there was this one time where I feel like it was even like it wasn't even discrimination. I wouldn't say it was discrimination, but I would say that there was this one time that my religion came in the way of me pursuing something here in America. And that's something big because I work, I go to school, I do everything that I want, and it never comes in my way. It's actually, it helps me, It motivates me, encourages me. But there's this one time where I was actually in high school, and I wanted to join this ROTC program. It was JROTC. And I told you about this story. And I didn't want to join it because I liked JROTC. I wanted to join it because it was dual credit with Avid, and I was really college oriented that time. I was like, I'm going to do it. I want to be a doctor. I'm going, I was shooting for the stars.
What's your major, by the way?
Well, okay, so I'm in between. It's religion studies and biology.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, so I'm like
All right, that's
right
all.
in
I'm
the
sorry.
middle.
Okay, you can continue.
You want to know mine?
Yeah, what's yours, Christian?
Thugonomics.
All right.
Oh, nice. Okay, so I was, and I wanted to take it because it was dual credit with Avid. And it was a high school. It was an AP class. It was something like it was good. Most of the smart students, you could say, were taking this class.
Right.
So, and you always see the ROTC uniforms walking around. You kind of make fun of them. Oh, you got to wear that every Wednesday. Oh, that's funny. I think it's not a cute outfit, but it's you can tell like who's the smart students in that school. Anyway, so I join in, and I'm there for 2 months, and I'm learning the mission. I'm dressing up like them. I was doing push-ups. They had me running like miles, like 7 in the morning. I was dedicated. I was like, if this is what it takes, then I'm gonna do it. And I remember one day that the captain of the the JROTC called me into his office, and you could see like how uncomfortable they were. They were really like they wanted to make sure that it's just gentle, and they let me down softly, and and I felt with them. I'm like, oh, I'm sorry that you even have to do this. I know it's probably harder for you because and basically we had a little bit of discussion because of my head covering, and they said that doesn't line up with the standards of the uniform.
Right.
And they're really strict on their uniform, and they actually took a picture of me and they sent it to a few people until it like reached the director of the program, and he didn't approve it. So, or I guess the program didn't approve it, and so they had to let me go, like get me out of the class. And for me, like the only thing that really like because we were alone, me and the director and the captain, so it was just kind of like, okay, I feel for you. It's okay, totally understandable. I took it well, but when my classmates asked me like, oh, why aren't you in it anymore? I felt like I had to kind of cover up for them and help them out a little bit, because it was, if you hear the story, it's like, oh, they didn't accept you because of your hijab. That's So I'd be like, oh, I wasn't interested in it anymore. I don't like it. So that was the only way that it came in the way of anything. Honestly, like I feel like it brings more attention to me. Like people actually want to get to know me and want to see what I'm about because of it and stuff. So
that's the way I feel. Like I was talking to a friend of mine the other day, and we were talking about, do you think Muslims get more like discrimination? I told him my view was, no, I feel like people are more accepting now towards people, and they want to know. His view is different. I'll get into that, but like I feel like you said, people want to get to know you. They want to. It's kind of a way of saying, hey, giving the benefit of the doubt. Hey, this person's not a bad person. They're cool. Let's get to know them. So that kind of sparks conversation, and they're interested. While his view was, no, I think that because of everything that's happening, people are getting more discriminatory towards all Muslims, and I'm like. I don't believe that, but I mean, do you think that that's the case?
Okay, so here's the thing. For me, I feel like discrimination against Muslims, I mean, we're not any special than any other religion. We have a lot of attention towards us just because, like the media loves the television. We make good television when we don't have our coffee, I guess. Right. But I feel like a lot of religions also come like they can be betrayed differently. They can be betrayed and misunderstood as well. So, but the main thing that always like gives me a headache is that every time we feel like we're getting our foot in the water, we're being good, we're being friends with everybody else, like look at you, like I'm hanging out with Christians, but we're cool together. We don't see each other like, oh, you're Muslim, I'm Christian. But when things like Paris happen again and again and again, it kind of just keeps pushing us back in the box where we're not accepted. Right. And it's because of the generalization. Like I'll be cool with you the whole school year, and then something like Paris happens, and then you start looking at me differently because it's like, oh, it's your people, this is your beliefs,
Well, not me personally.
Well, not you
personally.
I
never look at you.
I know, of course. I'm just speaking like in a general form, but
right.
But that's what I mean. Like, we're always constantly being pushed back into the box because we're always being constantly misunderstood. And I feel like that's why I like doing like shows like these. And when I see, like last time, I don't know if no, that wasn't you, but we actually had a guy, you probably see him around McDonald's or like Del Taco, right around here, right around the corner. He always has his truck out. He's a vet. He always has signs out that say like, oh, against ISIS, we hate Barack Obama. He used to be a Muslim. Like he has like signs out there. A lot of students actually seen him. So for me, when I see things like that, I go up to him and I talk to him. I'm like, yo, so what's up? What is this about? And then I try to help him out. I'm like, you know what?
You actually go up to him and talk to him?
Wow. Yeah, you got guts, girl.
And people tell me that, but it's like, it's not guts. It's that I'm confident that my religion doesn't say this stuff.
Yeah, but you gotta be careful too. You never know these people. Some people that are biased like that.
Oh no, this was a vet, man.
I think
some of these vets are crazy out there.
Okay,
My
look,
respect
I can
for the
handle
vets,
myself.
No, I know.
But the fact that I think that whoever does not like appreciate Islam for its peacefulness and its like tranquility, it's encouraging of the unity between us, then that means you have a misinterpretation of what the religion is, and it'll be my pleasure to tell you what it's not, which is it's not like an extreme religion about jihadists, like how most people think about it and stuff like that. So when I see signs like that, I'm like, oh my God, I have to go help this dude out. Like, he has no idea what he's talking about.
Well, that's what you, as a Muslim, that's what you feel one of your missions is. You have to do that. You got to go show people that not all, Muslims are extremists. So that's, as a Muslim, that's one thing that you feel that one of your missions is, and that's something you feel responsible for. All right, we're going to take a quick. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Christian. No, go ahead.
We'll take a break. I'll continue up afterwards.
Yeah, we're going to take a quick commercial break. You're listening to Be the Message on 1630 AM Chaffee College Radio, and I'm your host, Lou the Messenger. We'll be back after this music break.
Take that. I'ma put in work. I'ma do that ASAP. Throw my faith in rap. But if they don't say that, huh? What I'ma turn down for? Feel like Shaq in 9-4. Breaking glass in that backboard like Kobe in Toronto, huh? Dropping 81. Yo, I dropped the 88. Ricky Bobby, shake and bake. Sleeping on it, should've stayed awake, huh? Everybody make mistakes like VJs. Trying to say my name is Minio. Say it with me, Minio. Okay, great. 2 forks high, base stakes. Risk it all, I take the hate. This the winning team. Get the Gatorade. My guy good, but he's not safe, no. They try to shut us down and it ain't gon' slide. Only thing I'm in is God and he on my side. That's the confidence that God, cause he got me. That's why I really feel like you can't stop me. Ooh, that's all you got. Come on with it. That's all you got. You can't stop me. You don't got the power. Shut me down. That's not an option. I'm my biggest problem. You don't got the power. Shut me down. That's not an option. You can't stop me. You're my biggest opponent. You know me, I know you, we know it. Whenever I fail, you always been there to simply remind me I've blown it. You don't see when I'm growing. You don't see where I'm going. You only see in the moment. You know my mistakes. You never let go it. Don't cease to amaze me, and it drive me crazy. Did you catch every detail that I miss in the songs I'm making? Singing, you will never write a verse like Kendrick. Never be the rapper I got from Hendrix. Top 10 alive, you will never be mentioned. Why aim so high, won't survive the trenches. Plus, you a Christian, Andy. They will never listen, Andy. Plus, we a pigment, Andy. You don't got skill, you a gimmick, Andy. Well, if I listen to you and everything you put in my ear, I'll be living like woulda, shoulda, coulda. I'll be paralyzed by fear. Ain't that the truth? If I quit, the only way I lose, I got 2 choices when I do this. Make moves or make excuses. If you know who I'm talking about, then you got me. My biggest enemy is me, and even I can't stop me. They try to shut us down and it ain't gon' slide. Only thing I fear is God and he on my side. That's the confidence that God, cause he got me. That's why I really feel like you can't stop me. Ooh, that's all you got. Come on with it. That's all you got. You can't stop me. You don't got the power. Shut me down. That's not an option. I'm my biggest problem. You don't got the power. Shut me down. That's not an option. You can't stop me. If I cannot stop me, you'll never stop me. Oh no, can't stop. Oh no, won't stop. I said if I cannot stop me, then you'll never stop me. Oh no, can't stop. Oh no, won't stop. I said if I cannot stop me, then you'll never stop me. Oh no, can't stop. Oh no, won't stop. I said if I cannot stop me, then you'll never stop me. Oh no, you can't stop me.
I'ma turn down folk. I'ma turn down folk. I'ma turn down folk. I'ma turn down folk. You can't stop me. I'ma turn down folk. I'ma turn down folk. I'ma turn down folk. I'ma turn down folk. You can't stop me.
All right, we're back here. This is 1630 AM Chaffee College Radio, and I'm your host, Lou the Messenger. This is Be the Message, and we're back with our guests, Ayla and Christian. What's up, guys? And we're going to continue with that discrimination. We were talking. Christian had some input on the last on our last question with that we asked Ayla. So, what was that we were talking about during the break? You had something to say about that?
Personally, feel that right now, Muslims are the hot topic just because they're the ones who are doing the most. But if you look back through time, I mean, it's always been a different group of people. I mean, whether it be the Cold War and the Russians, or it be, Nazism or fascism, you know, America has always had something to kind of, and like on how would I say it? They had a great fear of something. Right now, we're just fighting terrorism. That's our fear.
Right.
You know, maybe back in the days, you know, we were fighting communism and the Russians, you know, and before that, Nazism and Hitler, you know. So I feel like this is just a tale as old as time. It's something that we're always going to have to deal with, whether it be the Muslims, the Russians, the Germans, whoever.
Right.
There's always going to be somebody to fight.
Yeah, I think it's not so much America. I think it's us as people that we've always felt like that. Like there's always somebody that we feel like we have to fight against. You know, there's always skepticism about a certain group, or I mean, and some people justifiably, like ISIS, the Nazis. You know,
right? Those are wrong.
And you know, but like you're saying, that's true. That we've always, as a people, we always sometimes like we want to look for somebody to, you know, we want to look for a certain group, or we get paranoid and we got to go.
Well, we don't necessarily have to look because they're the ones kind of putting themselves there.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying. Like, I'm just saying that there's always been somebody. There's always been something. So
right.
I feel like hopefully this whole, you know, terrorism thing blows over 30, 40 years from now. I doubt it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but I'm just saying, if you look at history, there's always been some sort of great enemy, always some sort of a great cause that America has to fight for. Always, starting with the British, you know?
Yeah, you're right. And like I said, I want to emphasize, it's not just America. It's always been, if it's not America, it's with the British, you know, it's back in the day. It's always some, you know, going after somebody or something. And another point yesterday when we were in philosophy in the class, we were talking about, I won't say jihadists, but we were talking about
extremists.
Yeah, radical Islam. And I made a statement to the professor. I said, hey, you know what? When their ideology is more so like what we believe is what's true, and if you don't believe it, you're the enemy, and we're going to annihilate you. And it mirrors the same thing as, you know, Nazism, and you know, if you look back in the past, there's some other movements that pretty much, it's the same thing. It's like the same. It's a different time, but it's the same face. You know, I told her, hey, isn't that the same ideology? You know, it's the same monster peeking up its ugly head. You know, that if you don't believe what we believe, we're gonna go to the point of killing you. We don't care if you're a soldier. We don't care if you're a civilian. We don't care if you're a woman. We don't care if you're a child. We're gonna kill you. You know, it's the same thing. So that's real interesting to me. But
ties in a lot with ethnocentricity too.
Right.
Like we feel like because we think we are truth, we think that we are best, and we try to make that, like, we try to execute it in a way that, like, you know, you don't know the truth. I'm right. No, I'm right. You know, without trying to understand, like, have a level of understanding foundation between us to where we're like, you know what, maybe there is some truth to everything. We just don't know about.
Yeah, that's what I try to, you know, keep, like, that's one of the things I want to read a verse real quick, and it's just a verse in the Bible, but it kind of ties into discrimination because it talks about criticizing. Thanks, Christian. It talks about criticizing, and they're talking to the believers in this, but if you look at it in a broad sense, you get an idea of what it's really saying. And like Ayla stated, you know, that it comes a lot from those ideas like, hey, I'm right, you're wrong, you know, not willing to be, you know, level-minded about it, or like that verse we read last week, you know, love believes all things, love hopes all things, love does not force its own, you know, it's willing to listen and understand. And this is just this ideology is just the total opposite of that. You know what I mean? So I'm going to read, this is Paul talking to the believers about criticizing others, and this is in Romans 14, and it goes on to say, be willing to accept those who still have doubts about what believers can do, and don't argue with them about their different ideas. Some people believe they could eat any kind of food, but those who have doubts eat only vegetables. Those who know they can eat any kind of food must not feel that they are better than those who eat only vegetables. And those who eat only vegetables must not decide that those who eat all foods are wrong. God has accepted them. You cannot judge the servants of somebody else. Their own master decides if they are doing right or wrong. And the Lord's servants will be right because the Lord is able to make them right. Some people might believe that one day is more important than another, and others might believe that every day is the same. Everyone should be sure about their beliefs in their own minds. In other words, each person should have their own convictions. So I'll just stop right there, but that gives you an idea of just like, you know, being open-minded, you know, and that idea of love and understanding. And hey, if somebody's doing something they feel that's honorable, you know, to a point, you know, you can't force your will upon them. And that's especially true as believers, you know what I mean? But I think it goes into a broader sense too, if you kind of get what that's saying, you know what I'm saying? So anyways, with that, we ran out of time. So, we had a great show. Thanks, Christian. Oh, sorry about that, bro.
Broke my phone. It's all right.
For that. We had a great show. I want to thank my guests. I want to thank everybody who listened today. Ayla, it's always a joy having you here. Christian, it's a joy having you as well.
Yeah, I know. You don't tell me.
So thanks again, guys. Thanks for listening. This is 16:30 a.m. KP College Radio, and this was Be the Message, and I'm your host, Lou the Messenger.